My goal is to bring those two planets a little closer together through positive, constructive communication and open and honest dialogue. So I think the better that we understand each other, the better our chances for creating healthy relationships will be. So, with that being said, this is Venus Presents the Men of Mars. So I want to welcome all the amazing men that are joining us right now. I want to give everybody their flowers for hopping on this. They don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect. We're just going to jump in and do it because right now we are celebrating the release of my new single called Moscato. And thank you.
Let's
Thank you.
go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that. And Moscato is just a feel good song that kind of just embodies the feeling of a good relationship. And I want everybody to be able to experience what a healthy relationship feels like. And it takes work, it takes sacrifice, and it takes partnering with the right person. And so we're going to get into this series and get different vantage points. I wanted to start with the men because I believe men are to lead. And I wanted them to lead this conversation today. Friday will be part two, and we'll have an amazing group of beautiful women that will follow up and have watched this recording and will have responses in their own viewpoint. And then part three, we are going to come together in the same space and talk it out. And so I look forward to that. So without further ado, I want to present the men of Mars. Um, Stevie, Bishop Martin, Tony, Cam, my young man from Mars,
All right, Cam.
and Nick should be joining us shortly. But I want to thank you guys for being here. And, uh, I want to talk about um, what a healthy relationship looks like to you guys. Let's start with the healthy. There's a lot of things that we go through and get there, but what do you envision a healthy relationship to look like?
Mm, I think a healthy relationship is. I think a healthy relationship has something to do with a lot of what's the word integrity.
Mm.
That's real good.
Unpack that. When
That's
you
real
say,
talk.
yeah, when you say integrity, for those that don't understand what integrity looks like, what would you say? How would you describe integrity?
Well, because I would like to know that if I would like to know that if I turn my back on you, you won't do anything to hurt me.
That's good.
You won't. If I turn my back, you won't try to backstab me.
Those kind of relationships can often be formed, and those kind of things that we feel are kind of start in friendships. I think we learn them through dealing with friends before we even learn them in dealing with relationships. So, how can a young man from a member of our panel, um, how do we grow into integrity? Is integrity learned? Is it practiced? What does that look like?
I think integrity is. I think integrity comes from a long history with the person that you have an interest in.
Hmm.
So, say I've been friends with a girl for about 3 years,
Hmm.
and one day I just decide that, hey, I trust her. I've known her long enough to know what her reaction is going to be to this and that, and known her long enough to where I know that she's going to treat me like I'm a king, and I'm going to treat her like she's a queen, but it also is a matter of whether or not we can both agree in terms of trust and commitment.
Trust and commitment. Those are two very big words, very, very big, powerful words. Thank you for sharing that, Cam. Um, yeah, integrity, I believe, is super important as a human, as a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to have integrity, and um, being about your word. I've had conversations with Tony, where he mentioned, the power of being. Uh, your word is important, Tony, and I think integrity kind of comes from is a big factor in. I'm sorry, it's my daughter. In being about your word. If you say you're going to do something, doing it, following through. Um, how important is that, in
That's
manhood?
that's all we have as men is our word. Um, that's why we believe in God because of God's word,
Yes.
you know. And so, like, for us to be godly, we have to be word is bond, you know. Other than that, if you tell a lie or if you're telling lies, then you are a lie. Like you're not the truth. In other words,
Mm,
I heard you ask where does integrity come from.
mm,
It comes for me. It comes from seeing seeing what people feel like when integrity wasn't involved in a relationship. So say for instance you're young and you're growing up and you're watching, for instance, your mom and your aunts deal with men who are not honest, or who may be addicted to women or drugs or whatever it is. Uh, being just not a man of standard. When you see that, you want to actually protect them, and the only way you can protect your mom in that situation is to don't do that. To
mm,
learn from the mistakes. And so my integrity really came from just watching something I didn't agree with happen to the woman I felt the closest to in my life, and watching it happen over and over and over as a child. That was the foundation of my integrity. Everything else
Wow.
came um, from the Bible. I mean, that's a higher standard altogether. But my main integrity came from me just not wanting to repeat that, and not ever wanting to treat my sister like that or any woman like that.
absolutely. And I know your story, and we're gonna get in further, into, your stories individually. But, um, yes, to be a man of great integrity, I feel like is to take the lessons, the life lessons, and the things that even that we don't want to become, and holding true to that and standing on that, as we grow, into the person that we want to become. Um, when you're faced in situations, like what you briefly mentioned, like what Tony briefly mentioned, Bishop, I know you, have been in, um, situations yourself, to where, your integrity can be challenged.
Hmm.
You can, you feel like being a lesser of a human. It might be easier to be lesser in that moment. Um, what is your mindset? Um, how do you overcome?
I appreciate Tony's comment, and also Cam's comments was very insightful, and he, like Tony, like he was saying, he said he didn't want to see that happen to anybody, even though it happened to him, and even though he saw it with his own eyes, he said, what can I do to keep this from happening to somebody else? That's compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if both parties bring compassion to the table, I think you can have a good relationship, you know, and if both parties care enough to say, okay, I saw some things I don't want to happen to you. Hopefully, you saw some things that you don't want to happen to me. And that caring and that compassion is so important, and and then, like Cam said, that's where that integrity really gets really valuable, because uh, lies tend to multiply. They start
Right.
out small. They
Right.
start out small, then they get big. They start out little, then it's a
Facts.
whole lot. So,
100.
and see, and from a man perspective, a woman multiplies whatever you give her.
That's right.
If you give her the truth, she's gonna make it beautiful.
That's
Like
right.
I just got married in September, and
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
thank you, and then and it was on the heels of 25 year 25. I was married for 25 years, and then I had a divorce 7 years ago, and
Mm.
so I was 7 years single. Then God blessed me with a beautiful wife, and so but like I got married in September, and I had basically this bachelor pad for 7 years,
Right.
tear and
That's rough.
and then but she comes in and she just turns it into a home like within 2 months. My wife turned the whole house into a home, and when I walk in, I feel different because she multiplied what I gave her. So I just want to piggyback on what Cam said and what Tony said is that the integrity, you know, and the compassion, and then giving something that that person can multiply back. Really, that's the secret to any relationship.
Hmm.
If you keep giving love, keep giving love, keep giving love, and then give the kind of love that that other person needs, or that give the language of love that other person uh, desires. Then educate them on what your language of love is, and then I think that you can really have a beautiful relationship,
Let's talk
powerful
about that
relationships.
for a second. Love languages, because a lot of people, I'm currently dating, and a lot of people, out that question will come up, and a lot of people don't know what their love language is. And so, how can you discover your love language, or how can you work in a situation to where that person might not know what a love language is? I think discovery is important. Number one, as you mentioned, to know what that person needs from you,
Hmm.
and vice versa. And so let's talk about love languages a little bit,
I
because
think there's how many of them? 5 or 7? How
they
many
say
are there? I
five, some say seven.
think it's five. I think it's five,
Hmm.
or at least the book says that they're five. I'm
That's what
sure
they
there's more,
right.
Right.
and yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
And being well versed in love languages, like I feel personally, I'm well versed and well rounded to speak a lot of different love languages. But um,
I didn't know that
yeah,
about you.
thank you. Yeah, I feel like I am, and I think that puts me in a good position to be able to um, work with anyone. However, not everyone is equally yoked,
Right.
right? We talk about being equally yoked, and so um, discovering as a man, discovering what a love language is, and what is y'all's experiences in learning who you are, and what you want to receive, and who and how to give. What have been your personal experiences in that? For example, or examples of learning, because there's going to be a lot of young men watching this as well, and they're trying to figure it out. Why can't they communicate, or why does this not work out? There's going to be a lot of young women watching this as well, I can guarantee you.
I think
And
Stevie was
Y'all
going to
couldn't
say
hear.
something, but I think his microphone is. Hey, Stevie, undo your microphone, sir. Just press that mic. Yeah, I can't. We can't hear you, Steve. Press the mute on the microphone if you can. If you can. Oh, okay.
okay, you might have to come out, go out and come back in. Yeah, we're going to give Stevie a moment to do that, to touch on that. um, in the meantime, I want to introduce two young men that just joined in. My son Nick is here with
Hey,
us. I'm
Nick.
so
What's good,
glad.
Nick? Good to see you again, bro.
And his brother, also my son Jacob, is on here, and I'm
Hey,
so glad
Jacob.
to see his
What's good,
face.
Jacob?
What's good, sir?
We're
Your
doing
mic is a
great.
little sizzly.
A little fizzy on the mic, but we're doing great. We're doing great. Um, Amy Fagan says she loves this conversation. I'm so glad you're here, Amy. Thank you. Um, but yeah, from a so Nick, you Cam, Jacob, until Stevie comes back in, you guys are dating. Have y'all gotten into understanding love languages, and or do you just know what you like? What have y'all discovered that? Is that important to you at this point?
Mm, well, I mean, I know a little bit about love and body language when it comes to relationships. I mean,
Mm,
my first actual ever relationship started in 8th grade, and from 8th grade all the way to about 11th grade is when it um stopped,
mm,
unfortunately. But I think like, but when we had split apart, I had put a I had a plan,
mm.
and that plan I that plan that I had unfortunately didn't have her in it. But I knew if I put whatever it is I desire in God, I know He'll lead me to whatever my future may or may not be.
Absolutely. I agree. I know Tony can agree
Of course.
to that. Thank you for sharing that, Cam. Nick, Jacob, have y'all discovered love languages yet, or understand them at all?
Sorry, Nick, your mic is muted as well. No, sir.
Yeah, you may have to go out and come in, or you can just come in here and share at this mic.
That's
Might be
cool.
way easier. Um,
Yeah, I think that uh, a love language can be a lot of different things. A love
mm,
language can be your observation of someone over
That's it.
time,
That's it.
and it don't have to be with it don't have to be with just a woman. It could be with one of your kids. It could be one with an auntie, and you
or your
find
Yep.
out what their love
parents.
language is and speak it.
Yep. Yep.
Like for me, my love language is touch. you
Yeah.
know, my wife knows that when we in the car and she reached back and grabbed me by the back of the head or she grabbed my hand, man, Tony, I'm just like, man, it makes me feel like I am just on top of the world. And she knows
Yeah.
how to touch me, you
Yeah.
know. And like for her, it's not touch. For her, her love language, her number one love language is acts of service. So if I
Mm,
Right.
her car, take her car wash, clean, you, go in, you know, she comes up in there. It's like that's her love. She feels like I love her if if she washed the clothes and I go in there and I take them out of the washing machine, if she forget and I dry them. It's just like her love language. And then also I think her other love language is gifts and surprises. Even though she don't want to admit it, she like it when I yeah,
Loves it. Yep.
she like it when I think of her. I
Right.
bring her something home. If I got something to eat, I bring her some chicken too. Hey, I'm in like
That's
Flint,
it.
so yeah,
We are responsible. Me and Bishop Martin are not old at all, but we are
right,
responsible to pass on to you what the OGs gave us. And
exactly.
knowing what a love language is what is going to get you to be able to keep your wife. I was told a long time ago, you
That's
can feed,
good, Tony.
right?
That's
You
good,
can feed
man.
a bunch of different women the same line, right? But can you keep one woman for a long time? Because that to me
Wow.
is more difficult than keeping a multitude of women. Because I can come up with this, you know, story or whatever, or this gimmick, and just pull any woman I want,
Yes.
as long as it's not the same woman over and over. you know,
Right.
because it's not going to continue to work. But if you want to be with someone for like Bishop was the first time, 25 years, that was work. Okay,
Yeah.
and so now he's doing it all over again, and God bless you for keeping the faith and continuing to move on. and be a blessing to someone new. But it's
Yeah.
like it's difficult for me. It's difficult to even fathom being with someone else other than my wife. Now that we've been friends for like 20 years, and
Wow.
now we're married for 6 years. That doesn't mean that we go blind, young man. We don't go blind. We don't lose
You
our
can still
senses.
see.
I can still see. I can still hear. I can still swipe. All of that. But man, it's like once you found someone that's really, really cool and that fits you, it's like trying to find another mom or another dad or another child. It's like they're your family. And so
Right.
she's not my friend. She is my wife, you know, according to the law and according to the gospel, but she's my the same as me. Like I can cut off my hand and it would
Y'all are
be
one.
almost exactly. It would be almost the same as chopping off my right hand and my left hand because I can't
Yeah.
get anything done. You see what I mean? And so it's like I think that's the part of when you want to have, just like when you want to take care of your kids, you know, your love language with your kids is, you know, maybe they like lollipops or maybe they like Minecraft. So when I went to Brazil, I came back with Minecraft, you know, from Brazil for my 5-year-old, just so he can know, hey man, I'm thinking of you when I'm far, far away in the mountains. You know, the love language is how you're gonna be able to keep a lot of relationships because it's deeper than surface level. If you know your homie like this particular video game, you understand, get him that video game. If you know he likes these particular kicks, love is love in the sense of, you know, how you feel about individuals. And so it's like your love language is just taking care of people around you. And it goes right back to what you said in the beginning, Cam, integrity.
Um, and that's a key point. So you were saying love language is taking care of the people that are around you. You guys mentioned about observation and learning the person and knowing how important of a factor is consistency. How does that play?
Ooh.
Because you know it's easy to start something.
Right.
How hard is it to finish?
Yeah. And you know, that goes back to the willingness, just like Tony was saying, when you have that one person that you get the privilege to learn her. And even and you know, granted, God made women to where a man always gonna have to cry out to God to understand her.
Mm. Okay, elaborate, because
He
you might
told
have
the
lost
truth.
some people.
He
You might
told
have
the
lost some
whole
people right
truth.
there. So
Cause see, if a
come on
man,
now, Bishop.
let me tell
That's
you
real
something,
talk.
Venus. If I'm gonna tell these young guys something, if you don't have God, you can forget understanding a woman
It's not gonna happen, bro.
Mm.
because I learned how much God loved me by when I went into a relationship when they didn't love me.
Ooh,
In other
Mm.
words, like, like, like,
Hosea.
like, yeah, man, like Hosea, just like
Exactly.
Hosea. I mean, Hosea
Mm-hmm.
was a dude in the Bible. He was a preacher, and God told him to marry a prostitute,
Did.
and she couldn't be loyal no matter what he did.
Right.
But God was trying to teach. God was trying to teach Hosea how we made God feel if we turn our back on him.
Mm.
Yep.
And so I had to learn. And granted, that ain't no shade on my ex-wife, because
No.
you know it's hard being a pastor's wife, and she just couldn't. She left because it was hard and it was a lot of pressure being a pastor's wife, and I understood,
That's yeah,
and I still love her to this day. But
of course.
God blessed me with a woman now who not only helps me in what I'm called to do, she loves Charles and she loves what Charles does.
That
And
part.
so but when God gives you that one person to invest in, they become, just like Tony said, you become one with this person, you know, and that oneness gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And man, what was the question you asked me? You said something.
I was
I
asking
got
about consistency, but
But it's in there.
you were
consistency.
but you
Yeah.
were also talking about how the understanding of a woman, you have to look to God. So
Right. And
I know
so
it's all coming together.
so when it comes to consistency, a man has to understand that a woman is effervescent. She's iridescent. That means she can change. Just because she's away on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, don't mean she's gonna be the same way Friday. So a
Hmm.
man has to be, he's got to be wise enough to give her enough latitude and give her the capacity. He needs to have the capacity to permit her to have a full spectrum of a full range of emotions. He needs to know what to do when she's sad. He needs to know what to do when she's mad. He needs to know what to do when she, like I wrote a book called Relationship Technology, and it talks about how women live from the heart, men live from the head. If you
Mm.
want to understand a man, you got to talk to his dome. If you want to understand a woman, you got to talk to her heart.
Mm.
If you don't understand what a woman is thinking, then you need to ask her how she was feeling.
Mm.
If you don't understand how a man feels, you got to be wise enough to ask him what he's thinking. Because men, we don't live down here. We live up here. Women
Oh,
don't live up here. Women live down here. So when I ask, if my wife does something that I don't understand, I'm not supposed to try to figure out what her logic was. I need to find out what was her heart feeling when she did what she did, you know. And then if I found out what her heart was feeling, boom, I can understand what she was thinking. Because she may not even understand what she was thinking. All she knows is how she was feeling. She made a move. I didn't understand the move, but I need to have enough. I got to have enough graciousness to understand this woman don't live in the head. She lives in the
Mm.
heart. And so if I can protect her heart, I can keep her from going insane.
Hmm. Hmm.
If she can protect, if
whew.
she can protect my head, I'll never fall out of love with her.
That's
See,
jewels, y'all. Y'all write
hey
that down. I'm
Tony,
finna write it down.
ain't it true? We like when women, or we like when that woman can can be our psychologist,
Hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
and we like it when
She
she
can
can
know. She
listen
can know
longer.
when something is wrong before I say it.
Right,
That part.
right, right. She's watched us. She can tell.
Mm-hmm.
She can watch our behavior patterns and say, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
something's off about
Mm-hmm.
Charles," and
Mm-hmm.
she can begin to ask me rational questions. Don't ask me how I feel yet, because I don't know
Mm.
how I feel
I
until
don't
I
know
know
how to
what I
feel.
was thinking.
Exactly.
Mm.
I don't jump. I don't jump to feeling anymore.
Right.
That got me in too much trouble.
Yes.
I got into way too much trouble responding to how
Exactly.
I feel. And so I think that is what children do, respond to their emotions. Um, Maybe some women do it, but I can't say all women do that because that's not true. But I
True.
know for sure that I was doing it and it caused me to have, just drama in my life, whether it was me in trouble with the jail or losing a relationship or in arguing, cussing out in public or whatever it was. Reacting off of feelings will get you in a snare or a trap, you
Every
know,
time.
real quick, rather than like I was taught be slow to anger, but I didn't practice it until it was time for me to be in that season because it was a time when I said, I wish they would. I wish they would. And now I no longer wish they would.
Right.
Hope they
Yeah.
don't, which is
Right.
different. But it's
That's
different.
hey, that's crazy how it changed, ain't it?
It changes, man, when you get grown
Man.
because it's like, and I really, really want to pass this to the youth. Just because you can handle a situation doesn't mean you have to handle the situation. I've been taught over and over that responsibility means you have the ability to respond rather than react, y'all. Like, because like I'm looking at young brothers, Jacob, Nick, and Cam. I don't ever want to see y'all go through what I had to go through, you know, just because you got in your feelings. That's what got in your feelings means.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think we can go back to what Cam said about integrity. And I want to speak to these young guys too. There may be a time when you meet a young lady who is willing to compromise in areas that you're unwilling to compromise.
That part.
And just because she's a lady and just because what she has might be rare, don't mean that you got to compromise your integrity. All you have to do, sometimes you got to use the word no when it comes to ladies in your school.
Mm.
Right.
If you'll learn to use the word no, God will trust you with more and more and more and more. And it's hard to say no. When I was young, it was hard to say no because of my insecurity. I was very insecure, and
Me
all
too.
my other friends, Tony, they was like,
Yeah.
oh man, it ain't about having one girl. It's about how many girls can you juggle.
Yeah.
And so what happened was is, because I couldn't say no, I got caught up, and and people end up going to the hospital. I
See?
end up I end up getting crippled in my emotions. I end up having emotions that I was too young to handle, because I couldn't use the word. I wrote another book called No, and it's
Right.
the power of not being a people pleaser, you
Right.
know, and not and making the decision. I'm going to keep my integrity, like Cam said, and if I tell something no, I'm automatically telling something yes. And if I tell something else yes, I'm telling something else no.
Yeah.
And you can't do both of them. I can't have
Okay.
duplicity in my life. I got to have integrity. That's what integrity is. When they check the integrity of a steel beam, they're
Mm-hmm.
saying that, hey, if we put this steel beam in a high rise, it's gonna have enough integrity to hold the weight.
And if you
Yeah.
find one weakness in it,
One hairline fracture.
Mm.
And so many of us men, we fractured. We
man,
got so many fractures. And it's not
that's good.
like the women don't know. They know we've been injured. They know we're limping. They know that we have a lack of integrity. But they're hoping that
Back.
their love can heal those hairline fractures. And it
Mm,
takes a long
it
time
does.
Yeah.
to heal a fracture on a steel beam. It's got to go through some heat.
You gotta heat it up. That means you gotta go through some trouble, young man. Or you can keep your integrity from a young age and not do nothing. I'm not saying, you know, but I really wish that I could take back the things that I did that were non-integral, like the things I did on purpose to hurt people, like those things. I wish I could have known better than to do those things before I got in my 30s, because then, the world calls it karma, but you can just simply call it a seed. If you plant a seed,
Mm.
you're gonna get back what you
Hmm.
plant. You know what I mean?
Whew, that's deep right there. Everything we do is a seed.
Yeah,
And the one thing that kept me from doing a lot of dirt when I was younger is my daddy used to always tell me, he said, son, don't forget, she's somebody's daughter.
yeah. See, yeah, I wish I'd had that.
Yeah, my dad would tell me, Tony, he said, she's somebody's daughter. She may not be your girlfriend. She may be your girlfriend, but don't never forget, she belongs to somebody somehow.
Yeah,
And you don't want to, my dad used to tell me this, Tony, he said, and one day you're going to have a daughter.
boom, and that's when it get heavy, son. For real.
Yep.
I don't have those problems yet. I got 3 boys, and
Woo!
anybody who has daughters, I'm just not ready yet,
Hey,
and
you
it's
you
not
didn't
my
you didn't
season.
say you didn't say you didn't have no problems. You said you didn't have them kind of problems.
I didn't have those
Right.
problems.
Right.
I got problems.
Yes,
Uh,
sir. Hey, if
it's
you got
real.
3 boys, man, my hat is tipped to you.
Yeah, man.
I got three
Yeah.
boys too.
Okay, cool.
Three
I got a
boys,
really, say it again,
one daughter.
and 3 boys and 1 daughter.
Yep.
In what order?
My oldest is Aaron. My second is Andrew, and then my daughter is in between my youngest and my second.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. My oldest is 31. My second oldest is 29. My daughter's 27, and my son is 21.
Man, you're almost done. I
Yeah,
just
man.
started. They're 1, 3, and 5.
Hey, but you know what, Tony? It don't stop, Doc.
Yes, sir.
I just got done talking to my 21-year-old who's in a relationship,
Yes, sir.
and I was just telling him, hey man, treat her like a lady,
Oh yeah.
even when she don't treat you like a man.
Yes, sir.
And he
Hmm.
he understood, but he was like, oh dad,
But but this is how we break the chain, Venus,
we
right
gotta
here.
break them.
The
Man,
way we do it is what he just said. And
Yes.
so for men like me who didn't have our dad around, we
mm,
have men, man, we have men in the barbershop that will come and tell us everything that we need to know. on how to
That's
pull a
true.
woman, on how to clean yourself, on how to look clean and so fresh, how to have your game tight. They'll teach you everything except for how to treat it like a lady.
Hmm.
Or
Yeah,
how to be a man.
that's
Man,
Say that
right,
again,
Cam.
Cam.
how do you feel about that, Cam?
What did you say, Cam?
I said, or the
Or
how to
how
be
to be a man? How to be a man?
a man. Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because I've heard that from several young men over the years. I've had the privilege to um, have a lot of young men in my life, and a lot of them that don't have those figures to tell them or express what Cam just said. They don't. They always express the idea that they were not taught how to be a man. What? How does a man? Um, what would be the message that you would give them when they're seeking to learn how to become a man? What are
Look,
some of the messages? And I'm speaking to Tony and Bishop because they are men, and you know you're seeking counsel, you know, and I want you to seek counsel in the proper places. So, what can they look for, Tony and Bishop?
I would say the first thing is being a man is not just being biologically a man.
Mm,
Preach.
And I think you know that, Cam. Just because a man has a penis don't mean that he's a man.
Right.
What makes a man as far as not just genetically, but what makes him strong, because that's one of the things that makes him a man. Not how much you can you bench press, but strong is
mm,
how much you take. That's what one of the things that makes a man a man. How much pressure can you take before you break? Not that you're looking for pressure, but life puts pressure on you. Women will put pressure on you. Your mom will put a certain amount of pressure on you.
oh, yeah.
Everybody around you. There's pressure at school. There's peer pressure at school. Even God has some expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But as a man, we our manhood is partially determined by how much pressure I can take and not break. That means how long am I gonna keep trying, Cam? If I fail, am I gonna get back up? If I fail twice, am I still gonna get back up? Cam, you a man the day you determine never to give up.
Boom.
mm,
Cam, don't ever give up. Find out another part of being a man is find out what you was born to do.
That part.
It may not be like me. I was born to share God's word. And I was born to play the saxophone. That's one of my
Mm-hmm.
gifts. I could play this. When they bought me a horn, I could play it. But there's something that can do that can't nobody Nick can do that can't nobody do like Nick. You find out what that is, do it with all of your heart. And when you fail, get right back up. Tony was saying, life will test your commitment to your desire.
It
Life is
will.
gonna put some
mm,
pressure on you.
It will.
Your wife will test you. It's in a woman to man. Just like
Right.
an eagle, that eagle, when that eagle, see, eagles are monogamous. When that lady eagle is saying, I want to choose a mate, she'll take a stick and drop it, and then that male eagle will cruise all the way down and catch that stick on his back and bring it back up to her. Then she'll try heavier and heavier out to see what he's like. So life is full of
mm.
pressure, even in the animal world.
Woo! That's deep.
That is
But
amazing.
Cam, we living in a day and time where there's pressure in the streets. Them streets, man, is pressure out there.
It's real, man.
But can you how much pressure can you take before you break?
Right. I was taught that young men have dreams and
Mm.
old men have visions. So when I was young, I used to think that meant that we literally sleep and woke, you know. But it's different. It's different. It's
Yeah,
different.
I was the same way.
I know they say in the streets stay woke, but hear me out. What it means for young men to have dreams and for older men to have visions. And I finally figured it out. It's simply the difference between having a plan and not having a plan. It's
Mm.
just simple. If you have a
Tony,
dream,
that's good, man.
I mean, I just got it. I just got it. So y'all, I'll be honest with you. I just got it as I was getting these.
That's good, man.
It was wisdom. It was like when you have a dream, you're like, man, when I grow up, I'm going to, or man, we finna blow up. We finna do this. You mean like, or whatever it is that you're interested in. You know, you might be an artist, or you might be a politician, or whatever it is that nobody wants to hear what you're going to do. That's how you. Now, I'm not saying haters is a bad thing, but that's how you grow them exponentially by constantly telling people what you're going to do. You're giving your enemy a chance to stop you. Rather, write it down, like on paper, make the vision plain, and so that you can actually have a plan. That's the difference. And I got that from Trevor. He said have a vision, and I was reminded. I used to think that the difference between a dream and a vision was just literally being asleep and awake. It's not. The difference is having a plan. How am I going to make this happen? How am I? That's what it takes to be a man. When when you want to get a house, like I've got 3 little boys right now, and I want to get a big house. Well, the first thing I got to do is get that credit score right. I got to have a plan. What's the credit score now? I need it to be here by this amount of time. How do I do that? I have an irregular income. How do I budget my money so that it's going to be this amount of per month? Those are the things that you got to do when you become a man, that make you consistent. And we're going right back to integrity, because now you know that you have everything written down, and no, everything's not always going to go according to plan. But the cool thing is if you have it written down, it makes it that much easier.
It really does. It really
That's
does.
good.
And just like you mentioned, you have a vision for everything you want in life, including the relationship that you want, right? What you visualize in a woman and what I visualize in a man, um, helps you to navigate those things that don't align. You know, alignment is important, and but you have to have that vision to align something with,
That's
right?
right.
Um,
That's good.
I know
Gotta
someone.
have a vision.
Yes,
Is,
Miss. Go
is
ahead,
Jacob's mic working at all?
Jacob. Can we hear you, Jacob? Are you back in?
But I definitely want to hear some more from Cam if we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cam, when it comes to
There's Nick. Nick is back as well.
Nick, is your mic working? All right. Yeah, I want to get some words from the young man. What's some of the advice that you received out in the streets that you feel like is negative and or positive, coming from older men?
Well,
Can't hear you, Nick. Go back out and come back in.
um, before my great grandpa passed away not too long ago,
Mm-hmm.
every every time I would go down to Odessa and go see him, he would always like give me some type of knowledge to just everyday life.
Cool.
Whether if I always seen him and I had a bad day, or if I'm on my best day, he always shares some of the wisdom. And like like Bishop said, as far as having a plan, um Proverbs 15:22 says that plans fail for a lack of counsel.
Mm,
Mm.
but
That's
with
good
many,
stuff.
but with many advisors, they succeed.
Rumble, young man.
What does that mean to you, Cam?
Well, to me, it means that not everybody, not everybody is gonna know what path they are gonna walk as far as their future, but with just a slight bit of guidance
Mm-hmm.
and how can I
That's
say,
good, Cam.
with a slight bit of guidance and trust in the Lord, I think, I think you got a straight shot for whatever it is that you want to do in life.
You can.
That's right. That's right. And never underestimate the power of preparation. And that's
Mm,
what's happening in your life right now, Nick. That's what's happening in your life right now, Cam and Jacob. You're preparing, even on this Zoom. God is putting things in your heart that's going to be in full bloom soon. And
100.
so, preparation is a prophet. Some people talk about prophetic words, or a prophet says this, or but the best prophet is whatever you prepare for is what God will trust you with.
Ooh.
If
right.
if you are crazy enough,
I agree.
if you're crazy enough to get ready for it, God will give it to you. I'll even
Every
I'll
time.
even take it to a whole nother level, Cam. If you're crazy enough to get ready for it, God can't not give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever you make space for, God will give it to you in your life. Whatever you make room
Good
for,
or bad.
good or bad. And that's what it
Yeah.
means. That's what it is, what it means to have a habit. Like
Hmm.
there's a set of habits, Jacob, Cam, and Nick. There's a set of habits that you can adopt that can attract anything you want in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You don't got to have a big record contract. You don't
Mm-mm.
got to have a big bank account. You don't got to have a rich uncle. All you need is to find out, what habit can I put in my life to attract that house or that car or that woman or that lifestyle, or more of God in my life, or a
Right.
stronger family, or a
Right.
stronger marriage. There's a set of habits that I've adopted to try to maximize my marriage. There's a set of habits that I've adopted to maximize my finances. And so all I got to do is evaluate my habits. What habits do I have right now that's repelling advancement? You know, and so
Wow.
uh, as
Let's talk about those habits. I don't mean to cut you off,
mhm,
Bishop, but because we want to make it relatable to the young
most
men.
deaf.
Cam, Nick, I know they're both athletes. Um
Oh, hey,
you guys,
okay,
yes, and so that takes a set of habits.
it does.
So let's talk about like whatever your goals are, as far as like Cam, you play football, Nick, you play basketball. There are habits that you put in place um, to create the preparation. Like, what is your vision for that, and what habits have you acquired since you've been in high school? We won't even talk about middle school or before, but since you've been in high school, that has changed and propelled your preparation. I can't hear you, Nick. You're gonna have to go out or just come in here.
Please. Yeah, we really want to hear from you if we can.
We do. So just come in here. Make it easy. Go ahead, Cam, while Nick is getting situated. Jacob, are you on? Can we hear you?
These are some handsome
Mm.
dudes.
He
They
is.
all handsome.
Jacob is a really they are beautiful young men. Jacob is a really dope young man and a very amazing
Jacob looked like a
spirit.
model.
Real talk.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Jacob, watch out,
I
man.
tell
Yeah, real talk,
I
bro.
tell Jacob all the time, there's great things coming for
Oh
Jacob,
yeah.
and I believe it. We can't hear you though, Jacob. So
You got to use the
um
gear setting at the bottom.
to chance
Mhm.
change your audio input.
Hey
Just
Jacob.
make sure your audio input.
Jacob, there's a dude in the Bible with your name, and he was so intelligent. He was so smart. And but the Bible says Jacob wrestled with God,
Mm-hmm.
and then God changed his name because Jacob wasn't, he wasn't afraid to wrestle. and he became rich when God changed his name from Jacob to Israel.
Yep.
So Jacob, you a bad man, just off your
Just
name.
his name.
That's an interesting
The name
story.
alone.
It is. It's a very interesting story. Yep.
Very,
Even the
very
whole
interesting.
history of the story is very interesting.
Nick, can you
But
hear us?
Yes,
Dope,
sir. Can
dope,
you hear
dope.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
hey, Nick, thanks, man.
No, yeah, for sure. What was the question?
Oh, it was about your habits and
Oh, okay. For me, I think is as far as just life in general, the best habit to have as a person and as a man is a mindset of progression.
Yes,
Like
sir.
just trying to be better than you were yesterday. You feel me? Or just yeah, in that type of sense. Even if it's the smaller things, even if you have a bad day, you feel me? Like a really bad day, you weren't productive that day or anything, still being able to take that and leave with something, learning what not to do next time, just progressing in ways that you didn't know you could. And if
Get a little
you're
closer to that mic.
but yeah, if you're and that also tags along with consistency in relationships. Like being
Facts.
having a progressive mindset in a relationship, even when you are, arguing and stuff, and learning what works, what doesn't work, But
What do you mean by progressive mindset, bro?
progressive mindset, as in like a mindset that's always looking to go. I mean, grow. Always looking to progress. You feel me?
Mm.
Even on your bad
Oh, I
days,
feel you.
on
I
your
do.
good
I get
days.
it.
You see me?
I got you. No,
Yeah.
that's exactly what marriage is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know exactly what you meant. Like that's what marriage is.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
being able to do that, have a progressive mindset with someone else, and just
Yeah.
being able to grow together. That in itself is going to be able to
Yeah.
carry y'all a long way.
because every day we wake up, we have a choice, right? We have a choice to be a better person, to make the day um better than it was yesterday, to be a better person than we were yesterday. When you're married, you have a choice to leave or to stay every day. You have a
Right.
choice to make. I told Nick one time, I said, you have a choice, like whether you want to continue to chase your vision of playing basketball at the college level, the collegiate level, or not. It's your choice. I'm not going to tell you. You have a choice to make every day. But we also have to live with those choices. And uh, the goal is to choose wisely. And in order to choose wisely, something that Cam mentioned earlier that sparked this conversation was seeking wise counsel.
Boom.
Sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
You know what I've learned? Another thing is that a lot of times when you do find that person, and it doesn't even have to be someone you're married to yet, because like I said, me and my wife were friends for 20 years. We dated some of those times. She dated other people some of those times. I dated other people some of those times. But I could always go to her for wise counsel. You know why? Because I knew what her foundation was. And so sometimes, if you can find a woman that ends up being a friend that you go to for wise counsel, uh, you never know, that might be your wife, number one. And number two, women see things in a different way. And so that's, since I've been married, there's some things that I just miss. Even though I feel like I'm really intelligent, there's some things that I just miss that my wife puts me on game to, and she makes me more valuable because I don't have to think of everything myself. I'm like, I never would have thought about that. Or she'll tell me how something might make someone feel, which I
Yeah.
totally didn't think about that
Yep. And I married my best friend too.
already.
And she even when we was, you know, dating and before we were dating,
Mm-hmm.
she would show me, she would tell me things that was totally different than the way I saw them. And she forced me to see things the way other people see them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And and that's what I'm thankful for the most about my wife, is that she was patient with me, even when I'm not patient with myself. And I think one of the greatest blessings you can have in marrying your best friend is that, just like you said, Tony, is you know what her foundation is,
Right.
and you know what her roots are,
Exactly.
you know, and yeah, that's a powerful place to be in, man. But just like you said, you got to have just like Nick said, you have to have a progressive mindset. Every conversation, you need to be thinking, okay, progress,
Right.
you know, and you don't want the relationship to ever get stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever, like I was talking to my son today. He said, Pops, he says, my girlfriend told me that she was bored.
Mm.
I said, no joke. He said, yeah. He said, and he said, he was telling me, he said, I bought her lunch every day for like a whole month. She got the audacity to tell me that she was bored. And I was like, really? And so I said, son, you need to have a conversation with her. I said, you need to talk to her. You need to tell her how you feel. You need to tell her that you made sacrifices for her, even though, uh, um, that you made sacrifices for her, even though it was difficult. And so, so he was like, and see, and this kid is 21 and he's steady got good advice. He is a relationship. He's really an emotional genius at 21. But
Good.
it blew me away to learn that he was willing to invest in his relationship even when it was difficult. So
That's awesome.
You had mentioned previously about your best friend showing you, both of you guys had said, showing you viewpoints that you didn't consider. That's
say
the
that
whole.
again. Say that again, Venus.
You had mentioned earlier about your both of you guys had mentioned about your best friend showing you viewpoints that you hadn't considered. They offer you a different way to look at things, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole purpose of this right here. Just to be clear, is that we want to see everybody's vantage point. We want to bring everybody the male viewpoint to the forefront. We want the women to be able to express their viewpoint so that we can better understand each other. What are some of the, and I'm talking to everybody on the panel, Jacob, Cam, Nick. What are some of the things, um, my men of Mars, that you would want us women of Venus to understand about you guys? Like that you feel that women miss when they deal with men?
That's a good question.
I
I
Go
love
need
that
ahead, Nick.
question.
I don't know. I'm thinking of a way to word it.
Okay.
Uh,
And don't be shy. Like, just say whatever.
I might need a second.
All right. I'll
Oh,
start unless you're ready to go, Nick.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
Mine's simple, but a sense of equality as far as like, yeah, finding a sense of equality as far when it comes to everything, even if it's, I don't know how to explain it. Mm, I don't know. Tony, you might have to take this one. I don't know.
I'm
I
I'm
need to
I'm
think
I'm
about
gonna
this.
take it, but I'm gonna shoot you an alley oop, bro, because we can't feel equal with women. That's just
Yeah.
impossible because no man can be a woman. Like not fully, like he can dress like her, he can get his anatomy changed, but he can't make a baby. So no man can fully be a woman and no woman can fully be a man. And so therefore we can't really be equal, but you can be the best that you can be. You know what I mean? One thing I think that women don't realize is that we don't get to talk about our feelings though. We don't get a chance to do that. You know, we don't get a chance to be too sensitive. Because women don't like no sensitive man, but she wants a man that's sensitive though. Did you catch that?
Yep.
It's like you have to be sensitive to everything that's going on around you, but not sensitive to everything that's going on in you. Um, we don't get to talk about that, but that's why we have these
Talk
type of
about it, Tony. Talk about it,
that's why
man.
we have these kind of situations where we can get around other men young and old, and hear everybody's perspective. Like I do it every Monday night, usually over at One Family in Mesquite, Texas. We have a men's roundtable where we talk about everything, and it's no
Mm,
hard. We talk about everything,
mm.
and we get it out. And a lot of times, as a man, you're supposed to make room for your woman's emotions, but at the same time, you got to find some kind of way to deal with your own and not put it on her. You know, that's been hard for me because I always felt like, but what about her? But what about her? But Vina started this whole meeting off with, I feel men are meant to lead. Like that's how she started this whole meeting off. How do you lead? By example. We've been taught that since we were 5, since we understood English. We lead by example, and so it's like whatever it is that we're feeling, um, that we can't express because we'll seem like we're being petty or extra or
And you
unnecessary.
can lose respect because how sensitive you are and how fragile we can become. We sometimes we're very fragile, but we can't tell her because she'll lose respect.
Respect. But now, please continue. I was about to pass it, like, because
No, but I want to.
we don't get to say these things.
I kind of want to
Yeah.
stay there because like, let's stay there for a minute. So how do you balance that? Because if you because as women, it's easy for us to just let it out, right? We can go have a cry. We can go cry to y'all. We can have temper tantrums. We can have a fit. You
I'm a,
know,
I'm
we
a,
have a
I'm a,
break.
I'm a, I'm fixing to echo Bishop. Without God, there's no way you'll ever understand yourself or a man, because we got to cry, but you just got to cry in the right presence and for the right
Yes.
reasons. Because if you're crying in front of the wrong presence, that's what gets you disrespect. You see what I mean? Like finding a place to cry to something that's bigger than you, a God
Mm,
that's bigger than you, that you know that where you can get help. Like we call it a prayer closet. You know what I mean? But
Mm.
everybody is not going to subscribe to that, and
right.
that's the hard part. It's like I don't know what to tell people who aren't going to go cry to God.
Exactly. And the
Trevor
best
said,
thing a woman can do, the best thing a woman can do is provide a man with a safe place to go cry
mm,
with no judgment
That part,
and let that zone for him be a zone she don't go in unless he invites her
right?
because respect is more important for a man than even love you.
Then love,
Trevor
Love is
Trevor just
important.
said respect takes a lifetime to stack the chips up. Takes about 5 minutes to knock the stack over.
facts.
Going into what you were saying, Bishop, about respect and love.
Yeah.
Continue.
And respect is for a man what love is for a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And if she can provide him with a place to go do that, and then he can come back, and then she maintain a high level of honor for him, he will never forget it. She will be the number one thing on his priority because he knows that society don't provide him with a place to cry. Society don't provide him with a place to be a man with a plan and with a but a man who needs time sometimes to be fragile and needs to be broken and needs to be acknowledged and needs to be healed. You know, be and a lot because a lot of nowadays usually if a woman wants a project, it's because she when I mean project, I mean a man that needs her input to be better is because she might have some codependent issues also. But
Right.
but what needs to happen is every day a man needs to be getting stronger from God. Every day a woman needs to be getting restored and stronger from God also. So when they come together, they build each other up, they encourage one another, they provide support for one another, and he knows how to minister to the little girl inside her because no matter how old she gets, she's still got a little girl inside that might need something. And then she needs to minister to the little boy that's inside of the king. So you got a little girl that's in the queen, a little boy that's in the king. And this woman, if she can reckon, just like David did, you remember Abigail and David?
Mm-hmm.
David was gonna kill everybody in the city. He was gonna kill everybody. The Bible says David was gonna kill everybody that pissed against the wall. David was gonna
Mm-hmm.
kill him. And then
Mm-hmm.
Abigail was so wise. Because Abigail's husband would not feed David's army, because David's army had been protecting Abigail's husband, who was a wealthy man. They were
Mm-hmm.
protecting his wealth.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want him to feed him. So Abigail didn't know that her husband was being a fool. So she heard, hey, Abigail, take cover. David's coming to kill everybody. Hurry up and take cover. She says, okay, I'm gonna save my life. She she told all her servants, prepare meals for David's men. They prepared meal, and then next thing you know, they're bringing David food before Abigail even shows up. So by the
Mm-hmm.
time Abigail shows up, David got a grape in his mouth. He got bread. He's chewing on bread, and it calmed him down. David said, "I'm okay. I'm still gonna kill everybody, but what you got to say?" Abigail and Tony. The first thing Abigail did was she started stroking his ego.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I remember hearing about you killing the giant.
10,000. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Yep. Saul has
Yep.
killed his thousands.
Yep.
David's killed 10,000. You a
Yep.
bad dude. The
Mm-hmm.
first thing she said was, you a bad man. Then this is what she said next. She says, but David, it wouldn't be good for your political career if you killed everybody. But she talked to the kid and the king first, because the little
Yeah.
kid was mad. The little kid said, I'm about to kill everybody tonight.
Right.
Before the sun come up, everybody's gonna be dead. But Abigail saved the whole city just because she knew how to talk to a man.
That's beautiful.
And then David said, okay, Abigail, thank you for the food. You are an amazing woman. I'm not going to kill nobody. David went back home. Abigail went home, told her husband what was about to happen. Her husband had a heart attack.
I didn't know that.
David heard that Abigail's husband had a heart attack. He came back and says, I want you to be my wife. So not only did Abigail have the wealth of her dead husband, she gets to marry into the king's household. And then David says, you get to bring all your homegirls with you.
I did not know that. I didn't
Yep.
know.
Yep. So Abigail, because of her wisdom as a woman, because listen, Venus, most pretty women never have to put their best foot forward. Their integrity, like Cam said, is underdeveloped because their looks open the doors for them.
Exactly.
So what happens with a grateful woman, a woman, uh, like Tony was saying, a woman of compassion, what happens with her is she gets to develop those parts of her that other women is underdeveloped. So when she meets the king, she's ready.
She's ready. Yeah.
She's ready. And so Abigail went from being married to a fool to a wise king that understood most of his wisdom is going to come from her.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
That's the antithesis of what you're talking about, Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Because these young women today don't know how to talk to a man.
Yeah.
So, Cam, Nick, how hard is it right now to be a good man? With it being so easy. You know what I'm saying, man? Like
To be a kid.
It's You know what I'm saying? Like, cause yeah, man, it's
And
like
Jacob.
it's different right now. Like, I mean, don't get it wrong. Like, I was like right after what they had something called Freaknik. So, it was going down, but it wasn't going down like it is now. It's everywhere now. So how hard is it to be good and people not make fun of you for wanting to be good? You know what I'm saying? Because that's what happened to me. I got a lot of pressure on me to get some.
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
I don't know. For me, it's more of just loyalty. That's really
But
big. You feel me? I'm loyal.
I'm asking you straight up, like, with the way that women act right now, the way that they're readily available on Tinder and Instagram, and what it is on TikTok. How hard is it to be good right now? Because I don't know what y'all are going through. You understand?
I mean, realistically, You have to. I don't know. I think it varies mindset for mindset, but for me, it's not that. It's not as bad as you would think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to I don't know, just the loyalty part because
So explain to me what you mean by loyalty. Like, what are you being loyal to?
the relationship, what we built.
Got it.
You feel me?
I do
Yeah.
feel you. I do.
It's like I don't know. Same way I wouldn't go back and snake one of my homeboys. I'm not gonna snake. That won't change us for
That's
I don't
cool.
know a sex or gender. You feel me?
But you're not married, so why are you choosing
Nah,
to do that? Like,
because what we built.
that's real
You feel
good,
me?
man. Man, look, I'm only questioning because I'm asking, but I'm proud of you for those answers, man. For real.
Appreciate it. But
Yeah.
yeah, what we built. Cause I feel like if you would ask me like within like the first month or something, you feel me? Then it would probably be a completely different answer. Like then it would be harder. You feel me? But
But I
when you
just
get
know, I know who you are. I know, you know that you hoop, and I know they come at you left and right. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, if I had that, I don't know how I would have responded to that in your position.
for me it's like how you carry yourself too. Like if you carry yourself an op- as an open person, you feel
It
me?
sounds
Then
right.
they're more liable to come towards you because
Yeah.
you're open. You're open towards it. You feel me?
Yeah.
But if you if you come off in a way that's like okay, he's not as easy or he's got something going on. You feel me? He's busy. He's distracted right now. You feel me?
So you're different, Nick. Okay. You're a man of virtue. Please don't ever change. You're different. Um, I hope everybody is, because I wasn't nothing like you. I had zero integrity when it came to women. And it was mostly because of the pressure that people put on me for all the way up to when I was 17, when I was still a virgin. They put pressure on me, even my dad, not to throw shade at him, but you ain't got none yet, when that's not even what's important. What about you, Cam?
Well, at my school, there are a lot of girls and ladies, it's a whole bunch of options, but I would never I would never, like, uh, I would never walk around to seem open to girls and ladies at this school because I feel like, like I could look at somebody and I can tell, like, just by like, I'll have a conversation with a girl just to see what their integrity be like. Like, if I give you my heart, you're not gonna squish it. So I think what I'm looking for mostly, like, I don't really think I'm interested in, like, I don't think I'm interested in girls and the ladies that go to my school as much as I should be. But I think really what I'm looking for mostly is probably a woman to come into my and give me that type of to where I can carry myself like I'm I'm taken, but I'm in a good, healthy relationship.
Right.
With and so how do you balance, like, and I'll ask this Cam because I've seen Cam in action, you know. How do you balance being um a hot commodity? And this is what Tony is asking as well, like women coming at you, girls coming at you. Um Cam has this natural charisma. You know, his charisma is different than Nick's.
Right.
Nick's is very similar to mine, to where people don't necessarily approach you because they almost feel like you're taken. You
Right.
have something going, and I think that's what he was expressing. I felt that connection when he said that because I get that a lot. Um, Cam has this. Um, he's a he's a ladies' man almost. You know, they love Cam, and Cam loves him back. So how do you keep that on a level, right, to where you're not crossing the line and, like Tony had mentioned, not karma but spreading bad seeds or tainted seeds all over the place.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are. There are girls left and right who will, throw themselves at me, and I will, I'll seem open. Something I'm taking, something, I'm just open as free to get with them as any boy at the school. But how I carry myself to that situation, as far as me balancing out that situation, is I I wouldn't ever, and I mean ever, I wouldn't ever show any true or real love to any female that is not willing to commit their lives and heart to, like they are willing to commit their lives, heart, and love to whatever it is that I want us to be in the future. Because the longest relationship I've ever been in was about 3 or 4 years, and within that relationship, I realized a lot of stuff. I made sacrifices. I've done stuff with that girl that I probably wouldn't ever do with another girl ever again, because I know what true and real love feels like. As far as when you say I love somebody, you don't just say it just to be saying it. You're saying I love you because there's a feeling deep down in your heart that when you say I love that person, you know deep down that no matter what the circumstances, like hold on, trying to unconditional love. That's what I'm.
Mm, that's I was waiting for that word to come out. I
Yes.
I really was. I was waiting for someone to say unconditional love.
I mean, that's
Mm,
just what it takes, you know.
mm.
Honestly, that's really what it takes to maintain any relationship,
Everything.
you
Yes.
know. But if you really want to stay in a relationship, you know, beyond the surface,
ASAP.
unconditional love will tell you if a person is your wife or not. So there's several people, you know, before I got married that I might have broken up with, but I stayed friends with them probably up until I got married, because then wifey was like, yeah, they got to go. But you can maintain a friendship beyond the relationship sometimes easier, because um, unconditional love it's a place where you're loving the humanity of a person. You see what they've been through, you know what they stand for, and they made a mistake and they hurt you, you know. And so the mother of my child, the mother of my first child, you know, is one of my best friends, and guess what? So is her husband, because I chose to maintain a relationship that's good. We don't say baby mama, you know, we don't do that around here. She's the mother of my son. She's got my utmost respect. She's not my wife, but unconditional love allows us to have co-parenting that's on top tier 10, because and honestly, other people come to us asking us how we do it, and it's just a matter of everything that we've been talking about. It's a matter of consistency, it's a matter of integrity, it's a matter of unconditional love. And once you genuinely have unconditional love for somebody, you're really happy for them. If they meet their husband and you realize it wasn't you, you don't get jealous because some other man came along. You be happy and you thank God for a man coming and loving them in a place, in a way that you couldn't, or you didn't know how, or whatever. Either way, the bottom line is unconditional love is what you need to maintain every relationship that you have, whether it be with your homie, if you decide you want to stay friends with them. Because I've had a lot of homeboys that I fell out with, you know, but there's a few that I just got unconditional love for, that I'm a ride or die with you, bro. You know, and that, preferably not die, but I'm gonna hold it down with you. You know, I'm gonna pray with you. I'm gonna ride or pray with you. I'm not gonna die.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but seriously.
Absolutely. And that also brings the other side of that conversation. Let me just pause for a minute and say shout out to Sam. Thank you for joining, Sam. Sam is I hope everybody taps in with Sam Lavelle if you see her here on Facebook. She has an amazing platform. Um, she's always interviewing some dope artists, super huge on hip hop, and I'm talking about old school, good old hip hop. Very plugged in. Love you, Sam. But Trevor had said claps for co-parenting. I wish my parents had those vibes when they got divorced, and that's what I wanted to touch on. The other side of when things don't work out how you intend, right? Because they have a saying, hurt people hurt people. But we can become broken in those moments when we have failed relationships, failed marriages, and then you're seeking another partner. We're looking for these things. How do you um mend? How do you um make a new relationship better than the first one? And that's the growth. What does that growth look like? How do you grow when you're, especially these young guys, because you guys are going to go from you might have to go through several relationships.
You know what I found out was I could have, and this is just for me personally, I could have married someone like right out of high school. I had a high school sweetheart, and we could have got married right away. And I loved her that much.
Yeah, same.
But it took me 20 years to realize that wasn't my wife.
Same.
I didn't know who my wife was until I met my wife. And so every relationship I had prior to that was a relationship with someone who wasn't my wife. It does not mean that we couldn't have a cool relationship, but the person who is your wife is only probably one person. I don't have any backing on that because I'm not going to go to a scripture that says you only have one person that can be your wife. That's not going to happen. But I'm under the impression that nobody else can be my wife. This is the one because of the circumstances. And, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like you do right now, Nick. I don't know how to explain it because I'll sound crazy. But all I can say is no one else could be this need filler, if that makes sense, in the sense that it's a whole thing, from love languages to integrity to foundation to giving me a place to go cry to giving me knowing if something's wrong with me before I say it, like all of those things. Even though I had really cool connections with other people in the past, that just wasn't my wife, and that's a hard pill to swallow, you know, because you might really like that person, but that's just not the person you meant to be with.
Carly joined a little late. Shout out to Carly. Carly will be here on Friday. She's flying in from Ohio to MC the second part of this event with the women. I'm
Peace,
so
Carly.
excited for that.
Carly asked how long I've been married.
She asked how long you've been married.
So 6 of the 20 years we've been friends, we've been married now, and like I said, this was my friend for many, many years. She's dated other people, I've dated other people, but it turned out that that's who was meant to be for me. Uh, I know this person, and so ultimately, to get back to your original question, how do you balance it? Ultimately, for me, it's just been a matter of getting to know myself and understand what my purpose is. That's what makes me a man, and part of my purpose is being this person's husband, because don't nobody really know how to love her like me.
That's
Like
good, man.
I learned her. I worked for it, and like not even her dad knows things that I know. You know what I mean? Like I've earned the fact that I can say I know her probably better than anyone else other than
That's
God.
powerful, Doc. That's powerful.
There's a space, and I won't keep you guys too much longer, but we were talking about those that time in between. You said getting to know yourself. How important is it for young men, for people in general, to spend time with themselves? Because for myself, I've been single for 11 years. I'm not ashamed to say it. I've dated here and there, but I've taken 11 years to get to know myself. It was important to me to be able to um, work on myself, grow, and focus on the woman that I want to become, so that I'm ready um, for the partner that God has for me. How important is that from a young man's standpoint? From a man's standpoint, what does that look like? Does that change?
Low key for me, I think like as was it a question?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, taking time for yourself is one of, if not the most important thing for a man, because one, getting caught up in other people's stuff so much that you don't know what priorities you have for yourself is a terrible situation for a man to be in, because that alone would get a man to break, you feel me? Depending on like how strong you are as a man, But on top of that, taking time to do stuff that clears your mind, stuff that you enjoy, you feel me? And not stuff that brings happiness, because happiness is only a fleeting moment of, or a fleeting feeling, something that brings you joy, something that you enjoy all the time, whether that's like your passion, you feel me? You know, like for me playing basketball, that brings me joy, you feel me? Um,
Exactly.
Stuff like that. Taking time for yourself really to, like I said, clear your mind. If that's going on walks, just being around nature, grounding for some people, you know, just whatever it is, taking that time for yourself. But
That's good.
That's real good. And I think one of the most powerful things you can do in preparation is spend enough time with God so He can resurrect anything that has died from previous relationships. Sometimes you can be with a person that kills important parts of you. Sometimes they don't want. Maybe you like to read, and every time they walk past and you was reading, so what you reading? Or maybe, like for instance, I know a young lady who had a beautiful voice, but she wasn't in an environment of celebratory situations for her voice. Every time her husband came in, you singing again? Shut up. And she had a beautiful voice, but he killed that in her almost. Like if you're an entrepreneur and every time you start a little side hustle, your lady like, oh, that you so man, I can't believe you're doing that. And so I think one of the things we have to do in preparation. Okay, is there anything in me that a previous relationship killed?
Mm,
Even if it's like even if you like crossword
yeah. Puzzles. Yeah.
crossword
Puzzles.
crossword puzzles.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Even if you like crossword puzzles and the spouse didn't like it, you got to
Yeah.
find out. And one of the things I wanted to say earlier was I want to say this to Cam, and Nick, that being a man is knowing what you are and then knowing who you are.
Mm.
Like, and then I heard Tony say something like, when you know what you are, which is male, it's important to know who you are. And I taught my sons, make sure you don't fall in love with her femininity, fall in love with her individuality.
That's dope.
Because just because she's a female, you can't forget that she's a woman.
She's an individual. So one of the things we got to do in preparation for our future is find out what we are. If I'm a man, that means from the waist down, I'm a giver. From the waist up, I'm a builder.
That's so good.
A woman from the waist down, she's a receiver.
That's right.
And a woman from the waist up, she's a nurturer.
That's so beautiful.
That's what she is. That's not who she is, though.
What she is.
And most men fall in love with a woman's femininity, her soft voice, her soft skin, her breast, her booty, her body. But
Yeah.
that's just feminine. That's just feminine characteristics
Yeah.
that fade. But what
Yeah.
about who is she as a woman? Who is she as a person? So we got to get to our nose. We got to get to know ourselves. I got to find out what I am as a man. And just like when Tony was saying, did you get you some?
Yeah.
But that's a perversion.
It is though.
Because I'm a giver.
Exactly.
A man's body is shaped to
Talk
give,
about it.
and his
Wow.
his whole being. Men, we are givers. Women are receivers. But society has perverted it and made the women, hey, don't you give it up, girl. Did you give it up? Did you give it up? Don't give that up. And she goes into her marriage thinking she's giving something up when in essence, she's supposed to be receiving something.
Bruh.
And so men go into the bedroom to take, women go into the bedroom to give, and we wonder why come our sex life is jacked up.
That's backwards.
And our appetites are jacked up. That's why a
Talk
man,
about it.
that's why what Tony was saying before. Tony was saying when you fall in love with one woman, that means your appetite done shifted from many women to one woman. Women try to keep men from cheating, but what has to happen is that perversion has to be healed.
Yeah.
So society talk, get you some, and then don't give up, don't give it up, unless it's the right one, and everybody has this perversion. And so what we have to do as men, we got to go in, not just the bedroom, we got to go into a relationship thinking I'm the giver.
Bruh.
She needs to go into the relationship, I'm the receiver. And see what a lot of women don't realize is they've lost their femininity being a giver
That was my
and a
next point.
provider
Yes.
and a protector.
Yes.
So she walked mannish, she act
Good.
mannish because she had to fight, she had to provide, she had to work. Now, when she comes into a relationship, she don't got no femininity left. And then you got a man who's real feminine because he's used to givers.
Mm-hmm.
He's not used to being the giver,
Giver.
And so I think one of the things a woman has to do in her time of preparation, and what a man has to do in his time of preparation, a man got to discover I'm a giver from the waist down physically. I'm a builder from the waist up physically. But who am I? That's not what I am. What I am is a male. Who I am is an individual. So that means for me, from the waist down, I'm a giver. From the waist up, I'm a builder. But who I am, I'm a healer. That's what I'm born to do. I love to heal. On my worst day, I can heal. I can touch somebody. I can love somebody. I can encourage somebody. I can heal somebody. I can pray over somebody. I can play over somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's who I am. There's an individual. He's not just a male. He's a man. There's something about Tony that can't nobody touch. Can't nobody do it like him. There's something about Nick that can't nobody can do Nick like Nick. There's something God gave Nick that God didn't give nobody. There's something God gave Jacob that God didn't give nobody. There's something that God gave Cam that God didn't give nobody. And we know God gave Venus something that God didn't give nobody else.
100.
So that's my encouragement to anybody individually. Find out I'm not talking about transgenderism or none of this stuff. But what I am talking about is find out what I am. Know what I mean. Like I know that my wife, because she's a woman, she gets cold about 9:30. She thinks it's cold, but it ain't cold. The temperature's the same, but her body her body changes.
Yeah.
So I don't argue with her. She says, baby, it's cold. I don't say, baby, it's the same temperature. Check. No, I don't say that. I go and I adjust it. If she gets cold, I turn. Even if I'm sweating, I'm gonna turn that bad boy up to 77 degrees. Now, and I also know that when 2 a.m. hits, she's gonna be hot.
It's gonna be
Yep.
hot.
'Cause
100.
she don't say it's hot. She
Bishop,
says she don't say she's hot. She says it's hot in
it's
here.
hot.
Why'd you turn it up? Okay, baby. And I get out of the bed and I turn her back
Hey
down to
man, look,
74
Google
degrees.
Nest is your friend, Bishop.
Look
You can
at
do it
they
right
got the
here.
phone.
Trust me. Google
But
Nest is
that's
your
but
friend.
that's the art of being married
Yeah.
because and I know her body, so I know what she is, and then I know who she is.
Yeah.
I don't put her in a category with all women
Yeah. Mm.
because she's an individual.
I
She's
think
not
we
just a
have a
female.
habit. We have a habit of doing that, categorizing men as women. We categorize. They'll say all men, and then men have a habit of categorizing women. All women, y'all
Right.
women.
And
I'm
that's
not.
a little sign of bitterness.
Hmm.
It
When
is.
we put all women in one category, all we're really saying is somebody hurt me.
Yeah.
When women put all men in one category, one or two categories, she hurt. She need healing. Her heart is hurt.
Mm, yeah, I have a I have a friend in my school who's in that type of situation. I'm not gonna say I haven't tried to fix that all men situation, but I do know that every time she does say that, I will always tell her, I will say, I'm not all men.
Mm,
Mm.
So when you put me and you categorize me in that circle of all men, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of hurt me just a
Of
little bit.
course. Of
I'm not
course.
all men. Yeah,
that's good, Cam.
yeah. And when she always talks to me about how she always talks to me about how this relationship messed up this relationship, and then that relationship messed up this relationship. And me, I want to love her for who she is. I don't want to mess up her life. I want to cherish her heart and her body no matter what she brings to the table. But she she feels like that she feels like if she like solitudes herself from other men, she feels like she'll be better. And I'm like, no, because if you don't if you don't heal from the people who cut you, you'll bleed on the people who didn't.
That's good, Cam.
Mm.
Rumble, young man. That's real.
Cam dropping in bars.
It is though.
All the
Cam
time.
got bars.
Yeah.
And he's right. And he's right. And I can attest um to those from a woman's perspective, that it is easy to sometimes just shut the world out, to protect ourselves, to put these walls up to where we're impenetrable, even for the things that are good, for the light that's supposed to come to us, you know. Um, a- and I'm assuming on the other end, men do the same. You get hurt enough. It's easy to build these walls. Um,
That's right.
but goes back to what we said about learning each other, understanding each other. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be seen. And the more that you let people know that you see them, I see you, I hear you, I understand what you're going through, that allows them to let guards down to where they can see you, then see you, and see your heart.
Yeah.
A lot of times we can get tired of showing that unconditional love, right? Because that's what we're talking about. And we get tired of it. Well, if we get tired of it and we don't want to give it no more, then is it really unconditional?
Hmm.
You got to keep showing this love, because that love is going to shake and stir something in in a hard heart. You can soften a hard heart, you know, by showing that love and letting her know, you're just there no matter what. Sometimes just being present, um, it means the world.
That's good, Venus. That's good.
I know we've been on this session for a long time, and I just want to.
A good time though.
It's been a great time,
It
and
was
I just want
good.
to say thank you to everybody who is here and everybody who's listening, because these are the conversations that we have to continue to have, and I've seen a lot of conversations online where we are able to gain insight from perspectives, but I love talking to young men and women. It's there's a different insight that you get when you talk to young people, and there's a different insight that young people get when they talk to older people, and we don't have enough of those conversations.
It's true.
I can talk to my girls all day, other women, and Bishop and Tony, y'all can talk to the bros all day, but when you start conversing crossing these age gaps, I think a lot of where we're lacking in society and as a culture is here, these cross references. And so I want to do more of this. I am so grateful that you guys took the time out of your schedule to join me. I appreciate your insight. Um, Carly, Sam, Trevor, we've had some amazing people drop by and that are watching. Carly says she loves it that you men are amazing. Thank you for being so vulnerable with love. Um,
We say
and
thank you for giving us a voice.
and that's the goal.
Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Samantha. Thanks for giving us a voice. So many times we as men, we don't get a chance to be heard, because my dad used to tell me it's not how loud you say something, it's not how often you say something, but it is how you say something.
Mm.
But ladies have to give us a voice or we will never be heard. So we just want to say thank you for giving us a voice.
And we're going to continue to do that here with Venus Presents. I'm going to continue to do that on my platform. I want everyone to have a voice, young, old, man, woman. I mean, it's important that we get to know each other, and take society and the evolution of human beings back to love, back to where we come from, back to light.
So true.
So
Thank you,
thank
Venus.
you guys for being here. I appreciate you. And we are going to, don't forget, guys, that Friday, we are going to get another side of this story in part 2 of Venus Presents. We're going to get the women of Venus. And I'm going to meet and we're going to sit. This is going to be a little different. The setup's going to be a little different because we're going to go live, but all the women are going to be in one room and we are going to vibe. And of course, Moscato drops on Friday as well. So we're going to talk about Moscato. We might have a little Moscato. Carly Davenport will be in the building from Ohio, and she'll be leading this conversation for me. But I want you guys to be watching because you've provided some insight. I would love, these women are going to see this, and I would love them to be able to counter productively what you said, and you will know that you have been heard. Okay. So I thank you guys for coming. I love you guys. I love you all. I appreciate it. Until next time, until Friday. Thank you. Good
Bless
night.
you.